hello everybody, and welcome to Retro Encounter episode 84. I'm Robert Fenner, and I'm joined by Peter Triezenberg today.
Hello.
We're coming up to the end of May, and soon it'll be summer vacation, and I'm just wondering, where has the year gone? It's as fleeting as a dream, so fittingly, we're waxing dreamlike to discuss what-if games, the games that we'd like to see made.
Yeah, where has the year gone? We've all been playing Persona is the answer to that question. Even if you're listening to this in May, that still holds true.
I'm typically pretty easy around this kind of thing. I look to RPGs primarily to see a point of view outside my own, so when I think about the games that I'd like to see made, I think that, I should probably just make them, but I don't have the talent to do that, so I'm clinging to these ideas to, one day make a big, sweeping cyberpunk RPG, because the world needs more of those. I know Cosmic Star Heroine was recently released. I haven't had a chance to check that out. I'm sure it would scratch an itch, but yeah, how about you, Peter?
Yeah, Cosmic Star's definitely got some cyberpunk elements going for it. It's the Phantasy Star meets Chrono Trigger. I haven't played beyond the title screen, unfortunately.
Ringing endorsement, then.
There's also the CD Projekt Red cyberpunk game coming out.
Yeah, sometime between now and 2020, I believe.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a wide range.
Yeah, probably quicker than I could put one out. But yes, back to the topic at hand. We are talking about what-if games, the games that we'd like to see made. Peter, let's start with you. Is there anything in particular that you're hoping to get made, or that you dream will be made one day?
Well, and when we were thinking up of this topic, one thing that immediately springs to mind, and I think I've mentioned this on another show before, is that I've always wanted to see something different from Alpha Dream, the company that makes the Mario and Luigi games.
Oh yeah,
because I really think that company, especially with Mario and Luigi Dream Team and Paper Jam, they've got this great visual style going, and but they've made 5 of these games, so maybe it's time for them to take a break and try something different. And the idea I've sort of been kicking around, I think would be really fun, would be if Nintendo just kind of gave them the toy box and was like, okay, do what you've been doing, make an RPG, but for all Nintendo characters, not just Mario and Luigi, and like a Super Smash type RPG. In my head, I just have so what if you made a party of like Link, Kirby, Mario, and Samus, and you just went adventuring, and I think you could do all sorts of crazy stuff with that. Like the Mario RPGs have had these little side scrolling sections in them, so you could work something in where maybe you need, instead of doing the Mario shrinks after you hit him with a hammer thing, you have Samus use her morph ball to get around into tight spaces, and different characters that have different ways. I think there could be some really creative ways to just combine elements from other Nintendo series into one kind of little mega game in the style of the Mario and Luigi games, but just with a bit more variety.
It's a really great idea. I like the idea of a Nintendo All-Star as kind of taking the shape of a Project X Zone. Well, not playing like that, because I those games don't really appeal to me. But the idea of it being this kind of fun and freewheeling RPG like the Mario and Luigi games, but with I don't know, maybe as you said, using characters to get into different places, kind of like Lost Vikings maybe, but with an RPG built around it.
Yeah, you need to get into this area, switch over to Samus, and go in there. Oh, you need to blow up this wall? Well, that's what Link is for. But the thing is, because the Mario and Luigi games, one of their hallmarks is this kind of self-referential humor. They're kind of poking fun at Nintendo tropes.
Yeah.
But since they've made 5 of these games, there's only so many things about Mario you can make fun of before you're just you're telling the same joke, and it's a funny joke. Yeah. But I think that would open the door for so much more referential humor that I think it would feel fresh by comparison.
Yeah, I agree. I always wanted to play I want to say it was their first game, the Tomato Adventure on Game Boy Advance.
I've heard of that.
Messed around with that a little bit in Japanese, but I haven't really given it a good look. But I hear it's kind of like a more adventure game take on that, with like using different abilities to traverse the land. So if Alpha Dream were able to branch out and maybe flex their muscles a little bit and break free of this the template that they've been following for the past, I think, more than a decade now.
I think Superstar Saga came out in like 2004.
I think so. Yeah, it was quite a while ago now.
Yeah, something along those lines. Just it's always. I mean, I appreciate developers like sticking to what they know and making things that people enjoy. I don't think that's a bad thing. But there's something to be said, like just letting them branch out and try new things, because you never know when they might hit upon something good. And like I had the same deal with Camelot. Like they've been stuck making Mario sports titles for however many years, and I'm just like, guys, you have Golden Sun. Do something with it.
Make another sequel to Beyond the Beyond. Or make yeah, I forgot that Camelot was still around. I'm sorry,
Isn't
Peter.
that basically what Golden Sun was?
Kind of, yeah, but those games were actually decent. The Golden Sun games, at least I thought so. And Beyond the Beyond is... me and Mike Solosi agree that that's a really, really awful PlayStation 1 game.
So I've heard.
But it's Camelot have such a great pedigree, from collaborating on those early Shining Force games as well. There's a lot of uniqueness to their approach. So it's a shame that they haven't really been able to put that to use in such a long time.
Yeah, definitely. I wish Nintendo would let their devs out of the stable a little more often. And who knows? Maybe with the advent of the Switch, this is the obligatory "the Switch is here, the future is infinite" conversation that we've been having.
Mm-hmm.
But like that could open the door for some new horizons. I mean, Zelda Breath of the Wild switched up a lot of stuff, so maybe we'll start seeing some new fresh stuff from Nintendo. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that'd be exciting.
But I don't know. But that would be my first like when I go to like what is my hypothetical dream game that no one has made yet. Super Smash RPG is probably the first thing that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. It's a really cute idea. I really like it. Coincidentally, one of my dreams is, on the flip side of the '90s console wars, I'd like to see Sega make a bit of a resurgence and maybe put out another single-player Phantasy Star game. I was a big fan of the Master System game and some of the Genesis games as well. So I always felt a little crestfallen when it just became Phantasy Star Online and kind of offline versions of that. They kind of use that framework, but yeah. Sega are another company that have such a pedigree of putting out unique RPGs that aren't really followed up on. I mean, Skies of Arcadia is a big example. The Shining Force games, I'm not really sure what's happened to those. I mean, it seems like they're putting out a fighting game now.
Shining has tried like everything under the sun except for what made them good to begin with.
Yeah, they put out like some weird kind of Diablo style games about 10 years ago, I want to say.
And even when they made like another strategy RPG in Japan, like I remember hearing things about that briefly, but it wasn't very good. They had that action RPG that looked like Bad Tales.
Oh yeah.
Like Shining Resonance.
Is that the one with the porno artist? Is he their new guy now, Tony Taka? I think he does other stuff now.
I guess I don't really know. I was the one where you could turn into the guy was like a dragon.
Okay. I think the last one I played was Shining Tears, which was a very, very slow... It kind of felt like a 2D Dynasty Warriors game.
Huh. Which, that's totally what we go to Shining Force for.
Yeah.
It's crappy Dynasty Warriors knockoffs.
As much as I'd like to see a traditional Shining Force game again, I mean, now that Camelot are they owned by Nintendo now? Are they second party?
I don't know, actually. I'm going to look this up really quick. But you raise a good point just about like with Phantasy Star is like Phantasy Star Online, came. It was really popular. It did a lot of innovative things, but we still haven't gotten the actual Phantasy Star 2 yet, have we?
That's correct. We we have not, and it looks like we're not going to.
Yeah, it's kind of behind its prime now, and they had like a bunch of spin-offs like that. Like Phantasy Star Zero. Remember that for DS?
Yeah, I do.
Like that. They're just weird, kind of not good offshoots of Phantasy Star Online. It's like, and I haven't played any of the Phantasy Star games. I have Phantasy Star 4. It's been on my to-do list for ages. But if now that Sega owns Atlas, I'd just be like, guys, you have this right here. Have them make Phantasy Star 5. Do it.
Phantasy Star Zero. That was very mean of them to call that game that. I think that stirred up a lot of false hope in a lot of people, myself included. But yeah, I don't think. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, just going back to the Camelot thing really quick.
Yeah.
It says that they partnered with Nintendo. I don't think they're owned by them.
Okay, so they're
they also created Waluigi. So
they did, didn't they? Maybe that's why we don't see him in anything but those sports games and Mario Party.
Yep, he's Mario Tennis. They was created for that.
But I was a big fan of Phantasy Star 4 myself, and maybe one of the special things about that series is that it was just so short, and it lasted. Let me think. 1987 to. It only lasted a good 6 years before they closed the book on it. The end of that game was supposed to be the end of the entire history of Strife in that universe. So, I mean, I guess, quitting while you're ahead, there's something to be said for that. But I think Rieko Kodama is an extremely talented creator and director. For her work on Phantasy Star and her production work on Skies of Arcadia. I know that she produced the first Seventh Dragon game as well, but I haven't played that.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd like to see her helm a project again. I think she's not really doing much outside of executive stuff now that she's at a higher position of Sega, which is that's the tale as old as time in the Japanese gaming industry. But
right. That's another thing I'd like to see. Shout out to Alana since she's not here. But I really need Skies of Arcadia HD right now.
It would be great. I mean, I'm not sure how much work would be entailed in making that happen, but I'm sure it would be at least marginally successful. I'd definitely buy a copy day one. I'd love to play that.
Yeah, I mean. Well, because I've never played Skies of Arcadia, and I've always wanted to.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where okay, so I could pick it up on GameCube, but it's okay, that's more money than I really want to spend on one video game right now, and it's but I feel like it would be a perfect opportunity for because they put out Grandia 2 on Steam.
Yeah.
The Sonic Adventure games have been on PS3 for ages.
Oh, have they? Okay.
Yeah, they've had those in HD with trophies and everything for a while now. So it's I feel like if Sega wanted to start putting out more Dreamcast titles on a PlayStation Store or something, even if it was just a $20 download or something, I'd pay that for Skies of Arcadia. I don't need just make it available is what I'm saying.
I mean, it's newer than a Dreamcast title, but it seems like Valkyria Chronicles got a new lease on life after its Steam and then PS4 re-releases. So
definitely, and now we're getting that other game, which doesn't look great, but whatever.
Yeah, it does not look good.
But at least we're getting it. I mean, that's there's something to be said for that. Even if even if it's not quite what we want out of the franchise, at least the games are coming out in the West.
Oh, absolutely. That's a very good sign that not being passed up for that kind of stuff. Sega have not been great about releasing the games that people want in the West lately.
No, not really. Alas. Seventh Dragon 3 any good? This is completely off topic, but you mentioned it earlier.
I have never played any of the Seventh Dragon titles. I gotta admit.
Yeah, I skipped. I was kind of curious in Seventh Dragon 3 just because one of the character classes is the duelist, and they use trading cards and set traps and summon monsters, and I'm just like, this
right. Yeah, because you're a big Yu-Gi-Oh guy, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, I'm going to make a whole party of these guys, and nobody can stop me. But I never actually played the game. So
Derek's got a review of it up. I think he gave it like a 75 or an 80. I mean, he was fairly complimentary about it, if I remember correctly. But check out his review on RPGFan.com, folks. Yeah, I was always meaning to play the first game because it was a collaboration between Rieko Kodama and the director of Etrian Odyssey, and it seemed like Seventh Dragon and at least the first Seventh Dragon and Etrian Odyssey shared a lot of characteristics, and I'm a big fan of those games, so I've been meaning to see exactly what this series has to offer. It seems like it's just kind of turned into like this, post-apocalyptic Tokyo series, which is in vogue at the moment. But
yeah,
like
90% of anime. What?
Yeah.
But yeah, the first one was unique and different. I remember seeing a blurb about that in a Nintendo Power a while ago, but when magazine was still a thing. And then it never came over here, so I never heard anything else about it. But yeah, maybe, who knows? Anything else on your mind, Peter? Before I move on to my next whatever. I mean, a lot of the things that I really would like to see are mostly just re-releases of games that I never got a chance to play. Like, everyone can say, like, I want Mother 3 over here. I want a Seiken Densetsu 3 over here, which hopefully that Switch Kit collection, please, Square.
That would be great, yeah.
It looks so good. I need it.
And we've been deprived that game for so long. I mean, Japan has been deprived it too. It's never had an eShop or virtual console release. So, that game hasn't been seen in an official capacity for 22 years now.
So that's it's time. I guess one thing, and this is less of a specific idea and more just a hypothetical a continuation I'd like to see. But did you play Tokyo Mirage Sessions, SMT X Fire Emblem?
I played a little bit of it, yeah.
See, I know it. I know that it was a little. It was. I read your blog post about the current state of SMT, and I liked a lot of your arguments. But I loved Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I thought it was a great game. And I would really like to see. Honestly, I would like to see more of that. Like more. Not even just a continuation of that. Like, but you could do it with other Nintendo franchises again. Just do something crazy. Like do SMT X Pokemon. Because why not?
Well, they did it with Nobunaga's Ambition, so
right. So like, I mean, at this point, like, I mean, the sky's the limit. Like, yeah, you have your strategy RPG with feudal warlords in Japan, except one of them has a Rayquaza for some reason. So, I thought Tokyo Mirage was a really fun idea, and I would like to see it developed further.
I don't think it's a bad game. I think if they were to do another game in the style of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, I think I'd like to see more of a Nintendo influence there. I mean, the Fire Emblem influence there, outside of proper nouns and the weapon triangle, it was kind of invisible, I gotta say. I mean,
oh yeah, it's very minimal up until even the other than like the final boss of the game is, but other than that, it's like, yeah, it's mostly referential. The game itself is kind of like Persona light,
yeah,
which is already SMT light.
I kind of felt like the concept got lost in the final product of Tokyo Mirage Session. They build it as this this great coming together of these two franchises, and then everything was just so. It had its own unique spin, which is fine. I'm always thrilled to see new ideas and new characters, but I didn't really see many of the collaborative efforts there. In practice.
That's fair enough. My weird my take on that was like when they first announced the collaboration, I wasn't really interested because I actually had you mentioned Project Cross Zone earlier,
Yeah.
and that was what I had in my head was like, oh, it's going to be like they're going to make just an SRPG. It's going to be and with all the characters, and it's going to be super lame. And then
the trailer
they
showed
that
really
first
weird.
trailer. Yeah, then they showed that first trailer where it was like, whoa, this looks different.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember the very, very first teaser trailer they put out, which was just like key art of SMT and Fire Emblem characters over like the past 20 years.
And I'm just like, that's boring.
Yeah. It was a really underwhelming trailer. Maybe they caught that from it, and that's why it underwent such a redo. I mean, that it was a good. I want to say it was about 2 years between its announcement and then that first real trailer coming out. So.
Yeah, we heard nothing, and I feel like that's more a case of like we had this collaboration in motion, but we didn't have anything to show.
Yeah, it seems that
so it's
way.
like it's the Tetsuya Nomura effect.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
But yeah, that's something I'd like to see. You had something particularly fascinating to me though, on a SMT related note though.
Oh yeah, sure. Well, on the topic of Atlas, there's a lot of things that I'd like to see the SMT series do. I like some of the rare SMT games that take place outside of Tokyo or outside of Japan. I mean, I think a lot of people really love the setting of Inaba in Persona 4. That said, I think Persona 5's take on Tokyo is really unique and a really fun look at that city that we don't usually see in these games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But this is part of the reason why I find Digital Devil Saga and Strange Journey to be so appealing. They take place in these weird post-apocalyptic hellscapes, but also the Raito games, which take place in Tokyo, but it's a very, very different glimpse of Tokyo. It's early 20th century, so it feels like a different locale. So I'd like to see. I like to see those games move away from Tokyo. Not necessarily, whitewashing or Americanization or anything, but with Tokyo always at the forefront of like a what's implied to be a worldwide apocalypse. I'd kind of like to see what's going on outside. At the same time, SMT is one of those series that's very much tied up in Japanese fears and anxieties. I think you and I were discussing this in relation to the recent Ghost in the Shell film on Facebook recently, and the clamor and the negative response towards the development hell American Akira movie. SMT1 early on has the Americans carry out a nuclear strike on Japan, but part of me wonders, like, what is the rest of the world like? What is America like when it's governed by the forces of law and the angels, and they're bombing the rest of the world? So I'd quite like to see that. But what we mentioned earlier briefly is a glimpse of a Persona game that never was. There's an interview with Satomi Tadashi, Kazuma Kaneko, and Koji Okada in the Persona World book that came out in 1996, in which they talk about this early first draft of Persona 1 that they had to scrap because they couldn't make it work, in which the students of St. Hermellin's High School go on a school trip when this disaster occurs. So you end up having the idea was you have to fight Persona users from other schools. It kind of sounded like a SMT Lord of the Flies to me,
like Battle Royale kind of.
So I really have a fascination with these early drafts and ideas of games that never were or that were never meant to
definitely.
be.
That always prevents kind of an interesting situation where it's like you just kind of can't help but wonder what could have been, and especially like I watch a lot like the Did You Know games that YouTube channel, and you just find so many early concepts for games like that. That does sound really fascinating. Did they say why they couldn't make it work?
It is in there. I mean, if you search Tumblr, you'll find this interview without too much trouble. I think like they couldn't find a way to make it tie up with the mechanics of the game very well. And from what I understand, right. The first Persona game went through at least a dozen scripts and concepts before they settled on one in the end. So I think it was Satomi Tadashi's first time writing for a game. So
I see.
Took them a while to get there, but I'd love to see the scrap notes for some of these early revisions. You know,
yeah, that's always something, a really interesting thing to hear is, and with just story concepts in general for RPGs, like because game design, if fundamentally like you're working with existing technology and you're existing with a set of mechanics that supports the game that you're creating. And with RPGs, you're also trying to tell a story, and all those elements have to kind of work in harmony.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's really interesting when you see like rejected drafts for things that could have been. And it's like, and like so like what, and then like what if this had come out? Like would Persona have taken off as much as it did like years down the road? Like it's so it's always such a bizarre line of thought to go down, I think.
I mean, no matter what, Persona kind of had to reinvent itself before it took off, which is
it did, and
kind of interesting to think about.
Which yeah, is what it did with 3, because we got and then they kind of went back and they did the PSP remake of Persona 1 with the new translation and opening and all that stuff, which is weird. I was watching like someone put together like a video list of all the Persona openings, and I was watching this. It's like comparing like the quiet, subdued, but really low tech opening of Persona 1 on the PS1 versus the Shoji Meguro like J-pop trippy imagery. Like, what is going on?
The way that they tried to bring those games intros into modern territory, I feel like it never really worked.
No, I don't think it worked at all.
Those games were very much a product of their time, and there's a certain tone that they have that completely clashes with those redone intros, and the redone soundtrack in Persona 1 as well is completely ill-fitting to what's going on in that game.
Well, it's the same deal with a lot of like old Final Fantasy compared to like modern stuff. When they tried to like when you try to bring in like Dissidia, I think is a good way of showcasing this. When you try to bring in like Furion and characters from the older FF games and put them up against Cloud and Squall and just kind of the modern angsty JRPG protagonist, the styles they kind of have to like meld the two styles together into kind of overwhelming bland anime cliche with Dissidia. But
like D&D character sheet model versus Tetsuya Nomura belt fetishist, and then
exactly
trying to bring everybody into a cohesive style. I played a little bit of Dissidia, and that always it always kind of bothered me looking at those earlier characters with these sort of fashion forward redesigns. It just never really made a lot of sense to me.
I mean, I like Dissidia's art. I can never get into the combat. I'm hoping that the arcade version actually makes its way over here at some point, though, because it looks pretty fun.
I tried to play it, but I could not figure it out for the life of me. I played a little bit of the first one, and I just did not get it.
It's way more complicated than it needs to be.
Yeah,
the story of Squeenix's life. But yeah, that does sound. Just going back to the Persona 1 thing, that does sound really interesting. Like I'm gonna have to go look this up after we're done here.
Satomi Tadashi, he's somebody that I want to see more of what he's written, whether the scrap stuff or ideas or anything that he's done. I really like his style of storytelling. So I'm looking forward to checking out Caligula, which is probably out by the time you're hearing this, but. I mean, I don't have the highest of hopes because it's food. I'm curious about that one as well. Like, I was surprised that it was even coming over here, even as just a digital release. Yeah.
But the story concept sounds interesting. The game doesn't look good, but
Yeah, it does not look good.
that if listeners, if you've seen the first story trailer for the Caligula effect, as it's being localized as, the frame rate during the gameplay section they show is like single digits bad.
Yeah, it's a pretty embarrassing trailer that they put out, I gotta say. Yeah, but much like yourself, there is such a wealth of RPGs out there that either haven't been available for a long time or were never available in English. So I too am interested in seeing a lot of re-releases. Impossible re-releases probably. I was always interested in the Tenge Makyo series, or the Far East of Eden, which was this whole series by Red Company that started on the PC Engine, which was essentially Dragon Quest in ancient Japan. We never got any of those games except for one arcade fighting game. So,
well, whatever sells, right?
Yeah. So that was just a huge and fairly successful series of RPGs that we just have never seen. The fourth entry in particular looks really interesting to me. It was this Saturn game set in, I want to say, like the beginning of the 20th century in America. It looks like kind of a Shadow Hearts to the New World,
nice.
larger than life parody of America. Coincidentally, since it's red, I guess it's the same. Probably there's some crossover in development staff between Tenge Makyo 4 and Sakura Wars, So Long My Love, the one that was set in the ridiculous, over the top New York. So
yeah, I remember that game. I may have tricked my roommate into buying that game at some point. He I don't even remember how this came up in conversation, but somehow he ended up buying a copy of Sakura Wars So Long My Love for the Wii, and then he got it, and then he played it all night with like our entire suite was watching it just in incredulity, just like, what is this game?
It's kind of great and terrible at the same time.
That can describe so much of what we cover at RPG Fan. It's not even. It's kind of great if you have terrible taste.
It's got that wonderful the version of Hamlet that they do, where the lady ruins it by saying to be or not to be is not the question, it's how to be and how to go on, and everybody claps.
It's like, we studied this crap. We know you got it wrong. Speaking of you mentioned, so like unreleased SNES games going on, Super Famicom games. Bahamut Lagoon is something I've always wanted to play that never came up. Because I've seen like the like, just some of the artwork and the sprite work for that game, like the dragon.
Yeah,
that was neat, and it seems like something that like looks gorgeous. And another like little lesser known game of theirs, Treasure of the Rudras. Rudra no Hiho, I think it is. That looks super interesting. It's the one where it's like you have to like actually like put together spells from a list of keywords, which I think was why it never got officially localized, because that was that would be a lot of work to make happen in an English script. But someone did a fan translation for it. So
yeah, apparently it was a programming nightmare to do that.
Yeah, no kidding. It's no wonder. But like there's a lot. There are a lot of great Super Nintendo RPGs. You know, it's probably one of the best systems for this genre. But a lot of just weird, ambitious stuff just never left Japan.
Like Square and Enix, between them, they have such a back catalog of dozens of games that they must still have the rights to, which would be amazing to see again in some capacity.
Yeah, I mean, if Terranigma got like an official re-release at some point, I'd definitely give that another try.
I think Nintendo have the rights to that, at least in English, anyway. So
So come on, guys, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I really like that whole trilogy. In fact, I mean, Soul Blazer was a little bit rough going back to.
Yeah.
That whole series resonated with me pretty well.
And we are starting to actually see some of that because Kawazu on Twitter.
That's right.
He's bringing over Romancing Saga 2 and 3 on the Vita.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, he's what was it, about a year ago that he said, please wait a little longer for the Vita version of 2?
That's true, but it's not like it's been outright canceled yet, so maybe, fingers crossed. We got the mobile version, which, I mean, who cares, but at least there's a chance.
I wish I was more enthusiastic about that mobile version, but a friend showed me it playing on his phone, and the touchscreen just seemed to not work very well at all. And I mean, you don't need any precise movements in that game, but it just looked like it was a real chore to play.
Yeah, that's always kind of the problem you run into with these mobile ports of RPGs. Oh yeah, speaking of things I want to see, I want a proper FF6 release, Square.
Oh yeah.
None of this mobile Steam garbage. Give us the original sprites, like
that Game Boy Advance version,
the original art style. Yeah, the GBA version's great, but like do that, make it HD. I don't care what you have to do. Don't ruin it again.
It's so torturous. They put the Game Boy Advance version on the Japanese Wii U Virtual Console, but we've gone without it over here.
Yeah, and I'd buy that in a heartbeat. Like, if they're still putting Virtual Console games on the Wii U, I'm hoping that means they'll eventually bring the shop over to the Switch instead of starting from scratch. Because they're still like they just put out like a couple more games on the thing last week.
They put out some Rayman games.
Yeah, and it's so clearly you're still supporting the eShop, even though the Wii U is a discontinued system. So can you please bring this over to the Switch eventually? But
you know they're just going to put out Urban Champion again on Switch as soon as they can.
Probably, or they're gonna start underprinting SNES minis.
Definitely.
Oh god, did you see that thing floating around on Twitter where it was like we have simultaneously announced and canceled the N64 Mini.
No, I haven't seen that.
In order to get the one of 5 copies that we have created, you must go to this booth in the middle of the desert and fight John Cena, who we have been starving for several days.
Flashback to the Amiibo days.
I know, right? You gotta work if you want that little Roy miniature on your shelf.
But yeah,
video games.
You gotta love them. Well, that's pretty much the end of my list, Peter. I don't know if you have any final thoughts before we wrap up today's episode.
I mean, I don't really have any other grand ambitions in my head. I feel like surprisingly, a lot of these what ifs seem to be happening nowadays. We live in an age where Final Fantasy 15 finally came out. Persona 5's out. It's all these games that we kind of wished have been waiting for and wishing to see, and it's so as far as hypotheticals go, I think I like to be surprised at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think.
Same here. Gosh, with the big long wait to Persona 5, and now that it's finally out, I'm not really sure what to look forward to on the horizon now.
Oh god, once I haven't finished Persona 5 at time of this recording, but once I do, I'm just going to be like, what am I doing with my life anymore? Waiting for Persona 6, I guess. Atlas, can we get a quick turnaround on that?
Oh, they've got to make Persona 5 dancing and fighting first, don't they?
After they put in 20 trademarks.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as you said, stranger things have happened. I never thought we'd see another Saga game. Japan recently got a brand new one, Saga Scarlet Grace, on Vita at the end of last year. Hearing that Romancing Saga 3 is coming in some capacity to mobile and hopefully to Vita as well is fantastic news. I think that is one of Kawazu's most accessible and enjoyable games. So Now that that's getting a second breath and a first release in English, that's excellent. So hey, we can want for nothing.
Indeed. Yeah, just it seems like with just modern technology, just like it seems like really anything can happen.
Yeah.
So why hasn't it happened yet?
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Indeed.
Well, folks, I think that's where we'll wrap up this evening. We have been Retro Encounter. This has been episode 84. Stay tuned in the next few weeks in June, where our illustrious usual hosts will be tackling Dragon Quest V, a fan favorite in the Dragon Quest series. If I'm to be, if I know my Dragon Quest.
So good, so good.
It is really good. I just don't think I can put in the time investment this time.
Yeah, probably not. I've still got 7 and 8 3DS on my shelf, so I feel like there's too much Dragon Quest in my life already. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay. Peter, where can people find you?
People can find me at I Have Fury on Twitter. I'm also I Have Fury on the boards. You can also email me, PeterT@RPGFan.com.
I am on Twitter at MissanthroBob, on the boards as Townscar Marty, and you can email me at RobertF@RPGFan.com. And I'm sure we'd love to hear from you. Do write in and tell us what your what if games would be. Maybe we can do a mailbag at some point and return to this.
That'd be fun. Yeah, who knows? So let us know. We always love hearing from people.
And with that, we wish you a good day or good evening.
Have a good one, guys.